All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about a habit that, let's be honest, traps almost all of us at some point: procrastination. But we're not just going to throw another productivity hack at you. We're going straight to the root of the problem, using Scott Allen's book, Do the Hard Things First, to really understand why we put things off and how to finally actually break free. So, does this picture feel a little too real? You know the feeling. A life that feels kind of chaotic, you're constantly pushing critical tasks to tomorrow, and there's this low hum of guilt and anxiety over all those projects you haven't finished. If you've ever felt stuck in that storm, you know it's not just about being disorganized. It really feels like you're fighting a battle against yourself. So first up, let's really dig into the chaos that's created by that one simple, dangerous word, later. We're going to explore the true cost, the often hidden price we pay for constantly delaying what we know matters most. And here's the first big mindset shift from the book. Procrastination isn't some passive thing. It's not just laziness. It is an active form of self-sabotage. It's this vicious cycle where we choose to make ourselves feel better in the short term by avoiding a task that feels uncomfortable. And in doing so, we trade away our long-term success and well-being. And that can cause real, sometimes irreparable damage. And if you think that sounds dramatic, check this out. This shows you just how high the stakes can get. The author himself, Scott Allen, tells this story about how he kept avoiding one simple task: driving across town to pay a $600 bill. It seems small, but the reminders piled up, he made excuses, and eventually, his entire line of credit was canceled, destroyed, all because he kept putting off one hard thing. Okay, so now we get to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. This is the revelation that really reframes the entire struggle. It's not about your willpower. It's not some flaw in your character. No, it's something way, way deeper. You know, the biggest myth out there is that people who procrastinate are just lazy. But the book argues that this is just flat out wrong. In fact, think about it. A lot of people who procrastinate are actually really hardworking, smart people who care a lot about the quality of their work. And ironically, that's exactly where the problem begins. And this right here is the whole point. Let's call it what it is: fear. The second you reframe procrastination as a fear response, everything changes. It suddenly stops being a source of shame. You can forgive yourself for being afraid. And once you do that, you can actually start to deal with the real cause instead of just beating yourself up about it. So, if it's fear, then what exactly are we so afraid of? Well, this next part breaks it down into 5 specific types of fear that love to disguise themselves as procrastination. This is a really powerful tool for figuring out what's really going on. Let's run through these real quick. As I list them, see if any of them sound familiar to you. Is it a fear of commitment? You're worried you might fail, so you don't even start? Or a fear of the unknown, so you just stick with what's safe? Maybe it's a fear of discomfort, so you avoid anything that feels hard. Or are you just paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong decision? And the big one, the fear of criticism, of what other people are going to think. Pinpointing your main trigger is a huge first step to taking back control. Now let's look at how all this fear creates this constant psychological battle that's happening inside our heads every single day. Behavioral psychology has a name for it. It's called time inconsistency. And this table just captures that internal conflict perfectly. You've got your future self. That's the part of you that sets big goals. It wants to be healthy, successful, accomplished. But then you've got your present self, and that's the one who actually has to do the work. And your present self is wired for one thing: what feels good right now. It would much rather scroll on the phone now than get the long-term reward of finishing that project later. Procrastination is simply what happens when your present self wins that war. So, how do we give our future self a fighting chance? Okay, we've talked a lot about the why. Let's switch to the how, with an incredibly simple but really powerful strategy that you can use literally the second this explainer is over. It is called the 5-minute rule, and the magic is in its simplicity. First, you pick that one task you've been dreading. You know the one. Now, just commit to working on it for 5 minutes. That's it. Set a timer. When that timer goes off, you are totally free to stop. See, the goal isn't to finish the task. The goal is just to start. Because so often, just starting is the hardest part, and that little bit of momentum is all it takes to break the grip of fear. All right, let's wrap up by zooming out to the big picture philosophy that the book really champions. It's a simple mindset shift that can totally change how you approach your days, your weeks, and your goals. And here's the most important part. This is not about turning you into some hyper-efficient productivity robot. Not at all. It's about freedom. By tackling those difficult, fear-inducing tasks first, by choosing to pay now, you get to play later without all that anxiety and guilt and stress hanging over your head. You actually reclaim your mental energy and find a real sense of joy.
So, as we finish up here, I'm just going to leave you with this one question. And don't just think about it. Actually pick one thing. That email, that phone call, cleaning out that closet, whatever it is, what hard thing will you give just 5 minutes to today?